So many people are afraid of standing out, but they deeply desire to be recognized. And this is something that is a problem because they're afraid to stand out, but deeply desiring to not fit in. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about how and why you were always meant to stand out, no matter how big or small. It doesn't matter how big of an impact you are here to make. You were born to stand out. You were never meant to hide. Nobody as a human being in this world is ever made to hide. Like, that's just depressing. So if you're watching this video, if you've clicked on this video, then you are someone who is either shy, labeled yourself as not confident, have fear around talking, public speaking, all of that type of energy, which is why you are drawn to this, because my energy doesn't, like, I have no problem standing out, but I never used to be that way, right? I always used to have stage fright. It was my biggest blocker for abundance until I started doing talks across the UK, and I was like, oh my God, I'm literally meant to talk. Like, I'm not meant to be hiding. And that's what I want for you. So by the end of this video, I want you to know that you are meant to stand out and to start actually practicing standing out. And I'm going to show you exactly how you are keeping yourself stuck. So what is standing out, right? The other word that we also hear is outstanding in school, in the school system. We always hear this word, outstanding. They performed outstandingly. Now, what does that mean? It's outstanding. They're standing out, which means they are different to the rest because it's a comparison. So if they're different to the rest, right, they performed outstanding means they are better in some way, shape or form than the rest of the people around them. So what does this mean for you? If you are hiding and you're not outstanding, it's because you fear on a subconscious level. There is a fear deeply rooted into you that if you perform in an outstanding manner, if you go against and be different than the people around you, you will be perceived as different. And that's true. Across the board, we see it. When you start to elevate, I've seen it in my own personal journey. As you start to elevate, the people around you start to drift off. There's a reason for this. And some of us, we block ourselves just from knowing this information. But here's also the other truth. In equal amounts that you start to outstand in your own area, in your own arena, people will gravitate towards you that are more aligned with the outstanding version of yourself than the underperforming version of you. So if you clicked on this video right now and you are not doing the things that make you outstanding, you are underperforming. Because what is the opposite to outstanding? Under, or the opposite of out, is in, right? You are fitting in. Should be sitting in because it's standing out. So sitting in. And you are sitting in. Let's dive into that. Actually, that's a good way of teaching this. So let's do this because I feel like if you see it in opposites, we live in a world of duality, right? The spiritual and the material. And so if we can understand that there's an opposite reaction and existence beyond what we are sitting in, the energy of which we are sitting in, the behaviors that we are currently sitting in, there's always an opposite to that, right? So if you are currently hiding and you want to come out of hiding, the only way of doing that is by coming onto the other side. So you want to be here, outstanding. Okay, but you are currently in sitting. What does this mean? You're like, what the hell, Janie? In sitting, you're not doing anything. So on this side, no action, right? You're sitting in what's called inertia. Inertia is literally the fear paralysis where you're not able to do anything because your mind is so heavily in the future of what could potentially happen, and you're so fearful of that future outcome, which has not even happened yet. It's only in your mind, and your mind's creating this fear that you can step out of at any time and go onto this side to actually see for yourself if that's even true, because nothing that we create in the mind is true. And if we realize that in itself, it can be true and it can also be untrue. So If you're in sitting, you are not going to be outstanding. In sitting is no action. You're just sitting there. You're sitting there dreaming, visualizing, wanting, desiring, but you're not having. Why? Because the outstanding people, they stand up against the norm, right? They are outstanding and they're outperforming because they are standing there doing the work. They are being different to the rest, okay? And this is where I said you're born to stand out, but most of you are fitting in. So this is where fitting in comes in. You're fitting into the general societal cultural norm. Now, this fear can only be conquered when you go against the grain, okay? So this is where action happens. You take action, and when it's from your soul, even more success is just magnetized to you. You don't allow, you conquer the fear, you move beyond it, right? You push fear aside. You feel the fear, but you do it anyway. You take action anyway. You don't sit in inertia. You don't allow your mind to keep you in a state of paralysis. You push the fear aside and you get uncomfortable until it becomes comfortable and second nature, which it will, because over time, just like riding a bike or driving a car, initially you're like, you have to think about all the different moving parts, but then it becomes second nature. You just get in there, you drive, you're like, wow, don't even have to think about it. It's the same for any aspect in your life that you want to become good at or outstanding at. And outstanding is simply being better than the average around you. So if the average people are on social media, you have to be better than the average. How are you going to do that? By being different. How are you going to be different? By not fitting in. And now I'm saying this for social media specifically because if you're a spiritual entrepreneur or you're wanting to come online, the one thing you don't want to be doing is getting caught up in trying to fit in with what all the gurus on social media are already telling you. I'm not going to teach you strategy. Why? Even though I've built 10,000 on my Instagram, 10,000 plus on my TikTok, I'm not going to tell you how to grow an audience my way because that's my way. That's unique to me. It's channeled insights that come through my voice, which is special and different and unique to me. So it works for me because I'm born to be different. And so I'm stepping into that identity of mine. What makes you different will be very specific and unique to you. And this is where astrology, human design can help you to really understand, okay, what makes you unique? Your past experiences, your past traumas, everything that you've learned and gained, the wisdom, that's unique to you. And the way in which you create, speak, write, share will be very different. And that's how you need to approach your visibility online, not by listening to the strategies of use this thumbnail, use this title, make sure you've got this, make sure, and those are skills, don't get me wrong, you have to learn skills along the way if you don't already have them innately. But you're not trying to fit in, you're just using those skills to develop your outstanding, outperforming, different, unique method of doing things. Yeah. And now we're going to talk into, okay, but Janie, I've just got fear. I've just got stage fright. I had stage fright too. And the only thing that got me out of it was by making myself be in that space, right? Feeling into that energy of fear and doing it anyway. You're like, is that the only way through? Yes. You have to sit in that fire to be reborn, right? My house, my moon is Aquarius, but it's in the house of Scorpio. And so Scorpio, in astrology, it's represented by a couple of things. It's represented by the scorpion, but it's also represented by the phoenix. Now, the phoenix is reborn from the ashes. The ashes destroy. It destructs. There is chaos. There is discomfort. There is this fear, which is all the darkness that we are sitting in. And in order to rise from it, we have to allow ourselves to burn the old self, right? So part of you moving beyond this fear of stage fright, this fear of being visible, this fear of coming online and people judging you, you still have to come and do the thing. And it's only in the doing that the having arrives. So many people I speak to, I have a close friend of mine, her sister, she is on this journey as well, but she pivots and she gets lost and she comes back and then she gets lost again. And it's because the quick results of, oh, so-and-so built an audience in whatever. I built my TikTok like over 12,000 or whatever in like less than 6 months. So, but why is it not happening for me? I want that viral video now. But what wasn't shown is that obviously before TikTok, I spent 3 years mastering social media in general and making money online for those skill sets to come through to me, right? How to design online, how to do a thumbnail, how to speak on camera, how to record, how to get a good mic, how to do all of that stuff. Those were skill sets in the background, in the darkness that people weren't seeing visibly before I popped on visibly. Same for YouTube. I actually started YouTube 4 or 5 years ago, but they were terrible videos. If you go into my oldest videos, you'll see them. I was out in the wind, natural, no microphone. Like, it was portrait, it wasn't even landscape. I didn't even know how to shoot that way. And my thumbnails were just like, ugh. Like, I look back at them now, I'm like, wow. But you have to start in the darkness, and eventually you move from this in sitting, because you start taking action and you start standing up and you start to push that fear aside slowly. You start to move from the discomfort and you transition into the comfortable side until you then realize, okay, now I need to put myself in another discomfortable position to grow and elevate again. If you're like me and you love personal development and personal growth and just constantly want to keep growing, right? Because that's what our souls come here to do. So let's talk about confidence now, building that confidence. And I'm going to do a separate video on this completely, but just understand that if you are not outstanding in any area of your life, it's because you're not taking action. And the people who you are seeing as being outstanding, you can't be angry with them. You can't be jealous of them because they're doing something that you are not. They are being willing to be more confident. You're not. They might have done 3 years of therapy that you haven't seen behind the doors to build that confidence. So we cannot judge a book by its cover. We cannot sit there and go, oh, so-and-so got a promotion. They're willing to do the work. Are you? And even your mind might trick you into thinking, oh, but I have been doing the work. But have you? Because have you been doing the work that puts you in a state of discomfort? Because if you're not uncomfortable, you're not actually doing the work. You're just tricking yourself thinking that you're doing the work, right? I'm thinking about doing live events now. That's making me really uncomfortable. It's making me really fucking uncomfortable. But I know that eventually over time, the more I do it, I'll be so comfortable with it. Just like YouTube. I did not want to come on YouTube. Trust me, you might look at me now and go, oh my God, she's so confident on camera. And I hear this all the time. People are like, you're just a natural when you come to teaching and talking online and all this stuff. It was not like that. Trust me. I used to hide with the camera. I'd be like, oh, I don't want to hear people. I want people to hear me. I can't film when people are in the house around me. Now I do it with my partner in the next room, my son in the room, like whoever's around, I will film because it's part of my purpose. It's what I'm meant to be doing. I'm spreading my mission. Here to teach, guide, share the light. Had I let that stop me, half of this information wouldn't be going out to who it needs to reach. So the way in which you have to approach coming online and being visible is putting your ego aside. And your ego is another name for the subconscious mind. Again, I have my Mindset Mastery membership, which you can go and grab, you guys. This is where you rewire your mind. Reprogram it so it actually starts helping you instead of blocking you, because half of the problem is in here. And if you don't fix the subconscious mind in here, which is running 90% of the show, and you're only doing it from your conscious, that's the problem as well. So be willing to be uncomfortable. That's probably the biggest thing that I can say. And like I said to you, you'll be seeing me doing live events. If you're on my email list through any of the links below in the description, you will be hearing from me about any of my events soon in the next year or so. Because it's all about embracing the discomfort. A lot of people don't talk about this. They talk about love and light and positivity and all of this BS sometimes. It's not BS because obviously I live my life 80% in positive and 20% negative, but I'm very quick to turn that negative into the positive. But it still means I'm sitting 20% of the time in the negativity, in the darkness, in this discomfort. And then when I'm feeling like, oh yeah, I'm comfortable, okay, I need to do something to push myself into that 20% negativity so that I heal more of that fear, more of that trauma, more of that darkness, more of that chaos, and I can transmute it and push it into something new and light and creativity, right? So if you can take on this perspective as, oh, okay, every time I create, there might be some sort of test from the universe that comes across quite negative, but it's there to help you grow. And when you grow, you then, that very thing that used to scare you becomes your new level of comfort. And that's where the magic's at, right? That's why they say the most magical moments are in those moments of discomfort, because that's where you're growing. If you look at a plant, you water it, you pour the sunlight, you see nothing for months. And then all of a sudden you see it shoot through and you're like, wow. But what you did not see is, let's draw this. So this is the earth, right? Now you've planted a seed here. And here on top, in your little flower pot that you've kept here, you're like, nothing's growing. Nothing's growing. But underneath in the dark, this is what we call light, because we can see it. Yeah, visible. This is exactly the same process that happens to you standing out all of a sudden and being visible on any social media platform, wherever it is you're trying to be visible. There are roots here that are growing ever so slowly every time that you're sunlight and you're watering. And this can sometimes take a couple of weeks, a couple of years to suddenly it starts to come through here. And just before it sprouts, if you decide, nah, I've done this for a year, it's not working. You cannot see the work here underneath the surface. This is all of the shit that happens even with our subconscious mind. We cannot have a way of seeing all of this work that is working. That's where divine surrender, trust in the universe, in co-creation, in God, source, whatever it is that you believe in, that you want to call it, that is where you have to work on your trust and divine timing, one of the laws of the universe. Because if you suddenly decide, nah, I'm going to cut out the sun now, I'm going to cut this out. Do you know what? This thing was about to sprout. You were about to get your moment. You're about to be visible. You're about to shoot through. And you just cut off that entire supply. Why? Because you couldn't see the dark down here. You couldn't see the work, the growth, the effort. And you decided, no, it's not working with your mind, with your ego. You allowed your ego to win. And so who loses? You, because you're going to come all the way back to this side and sitting and no action and then being like, oh, it's not meant for me. And then making up all these excuses. Whereas, if you understand this process, and this process for everybody takes different amount of time depending on how much darkness you have to work on underneath as well, within your own body, within your subconscious mind. How much trauma have you been through? You might have a plant, depends on, again, if you're trying to build a certain type of business, there are different types of plants, right? Different plants. There are some plants that need sunlight, some plants don't. There are indoor plants, there are outdoor plants. The same way, we are all uniquely different. For what works for me might not work for you, but what does work is the universal principle that each seed takes time to grow. That's a universal principle. Every single one of us will have some sort of time frame before we shoot up. Some of us can have it in a day, some of us can have it in a week, some of us can have it in a year, some of us can have it in 15 years. That's not what we need to concern ourselves with. What we need to concern ourselves with is that during that time, we are focusing on what sunlight we are pouring into it, what water we are pouring into it, and nurturing this dream of ours, this seed of ours, this goal of ours, until it sprouts up. That is your job. If you want to be outstanding, you need to do it in your unique methodology, your unique way. You can use that through astrology and human design, which is what I teach in majority of my programs. You can check the links below. But let's get out of trying to fit in. Try to stop sitting in just your mind and just sitting there thinking. Thinking's not serving you in any way, shape, or form. Start doing. There's a whole reason it's be, do, and then you have. The having is the final bit. The having doesn't come first. For the majority of people, you have to become it. Become it means taking action from your soul, pushing any fears aside and doing it anyway, because every single one of us feels fear. I feel fear. I feel uncomfortable. But the only difference between me and growing an audience online and people who are not is that I embrace the discomfort. I know that I have to be in this dark period sometimes for longer than I might want to, but because I know that I've planted a seed that will sprout up, I have that much trust, faith, and surrender, I will continue watering it in my unique way. And that works for me. And every time it produces a result, that evidence builds even more, and I just gain more and more evidence and confidence. It's the same process for you and most successful people if you study them, right? So you have to be the version of you first that is outstanding. Then you have to do the action, which is taking that fear, putting it aside, being uncomfortable in order to get comfortable. And eventually you will have this little plant sprout up. And if you keep continuing to do it, it will sprout up even more. And then eventually you might even have a little fruit on there that you can pluck. And you might have another fruit. And then you can go and plant another seed. Patience is a virtue, but also knowledge, and then utilizing that knowledge in the right way is also a virtue. So if you want to be outstanding, you need to be that version of you now and not the version of you that's trying to fit in. You were meant to stand out. Every single one of us has seeds inside of us that are meant to be planted. We're just not planting them. We're just sitting there and watching other people plant their seeds and then wishing and wanting on that stuff. But wishing and wanting in sitting energy is not going to bring you the outstanding energy. You need to stand up. Stand up for what you believe in. Stand up. Stand out. Don't be afraid of being different. Be bold. Be courageous. With every person that is celebrated, the haters will also come. Don't be afraid of being hated. I have so many hate comments sometimes on my TikTok and I'm just like, whatever. If you let that affect you, this is not going to shoot out. That's like some birds coming in and saying, I'm going to come and tell you that your sunlight is shit. Is that going to stop you from allowing your plant to have the sunlight? That's like you going, oh, you said it's shit, so I'm just going to move my plant away. That doesn't make sense. So why then do we let other people have so much power over our creations? If it's making you happy and you know it has purpose to it, why are you letting other people's judgments and opinions and words have so much meaning and power over it? I tried to teach my son this the other day because I was like, are swear words even that bad? Like, why does everyone say, oh, you can't say fuck, you can't say shit, you can't say all this stuff in school? And I'm just thinking to my 6-year-old, teachers will tell you this, so make sure you don't do it because it's part of the thing that you're in right now. But a swear word's only a bad word because people give it meaning. If you don't give it meaning, it doesn't really mean anything. Like shit just means poo. So it's just like calling somebody and saying, oh, you're poo, you're poo. But it's just using another word for it. Or fuck actually just means sex and intimacy. So why is it even a swear word? I don't understand it. That's how my brain perceives it. So for me, it's like, okay, if somebody says, oh, you're fucking this, I'm like, cool. Those words don't mean jack shit to me. So why are you allowing it to mean something to you? Stop allowing things to mean stuff when they don't have to mean anything. You have that power. So start taking back that power. I want you to have the power and stop giving yourself hassle and tragedy and heartache by giving other people power when you don't have to. All about the peace, all about the zen. You can reclaim that any time that you want. So just remember that. Start being outstanding. Subscribe for more if you haven't already. Like this video if you did like it. And I will catch you in the next video. Mwah.